Humanities has become a buzzword lately. Why is this happening? You might think of Steve Jobs, who famously stood at the intersection of technology and liberal arts. He once said that if he could spend one afternoon with Socrates, he would trade all of Apple for it. Why? It wasn't about a lunch menu. It was about the wisdom to ask, who am I? And how should I live? This shockwave hit our industry-focused society hard. Furthermore, the global economic crisis has forced us to reflect. We question the sustainability of capitalism in our own lives, leading to a resurgence of interest in the humanities. So, what is the humanities? We are not machines. We are humans. The humanities is the reflection on the unchanging values of humanity, but it doesn't stop at reflection. It requires practicing those values through the pursuit of excellence, what the Greeks called arete. It is closing the gap between knowing and doing. Let's look at history. The humanities began in Greece with Plato's Academy, teaching rhetoric, grammar, and mathematics. In the Roman era, Cicero coined the term Humanitas. He believed leaders needed three things: wisdom learned from history, moral judgment through rational thought, and the ability to speak and write persuasively. Humanities was not for ivory tower scholars, but for leaders and active citizens. After the Middle Ages, the Renaissance revived this as Studia Humanitatis in Florence. Petrarch and others emphasized history, moral philosophy, and rhetoric not for professors, but for you, the citizens and leaders of society. The first theme of the humanities is self-reflection. Who am I? The second is how to live, moral philosophy for the community. And the third, often overlooked, is how to die well, living creatively and dying beautifully. Today, to explore the question, who am I want to tell you the story of Homer, the blind poet from 2,800 years ago. In Raphael's painting, The School of Athens and Parnassus, even the great Dante is shown in the shadow of Homer. Homer wrote two great epics. The Iliad is a brutal story of war, which perhaps we, living in a competitive society, don't need more of. Instead, let's focus on the Odyssey. The Odyssey is the story of Odysseus returning home after the Trojan War. It asks, who are you? And where are you going? There is a famous painting where Odysseus is tied to the mast of his ship to hear the song of the sirens without jumping into the sea, while his crew plugs their ears with wax. This is our story. We row through rough seas, fighting monsters and resisting temptations. The epic begins by describing Odysseus as a man of many turns who suffered much in his heart. Why start with suffering? Because suffering is our destiny. If you are a leader or a head of a household, you must be prepared to suffer. Odysseus faces the nymph Calypso, who offers him immortality and eternal youth if he stays with her. But he chooses his aging wife, Penelope, and his mortal life. He chooses his destiny. He faces the Cyclops, the one-eyed monster. Monsters in our lives, bad bosses, difficult situations often have one eye. They only see one thing. Odysseus uses his wits, insight, to blind the giant and escape, but he also makes the mistake of hubris, revealing his name, which brings more wrath. It teaches us that leaders must not be rash, even after success. He navigates between Scylla, a six-headed monster, and Charybdis, a whirlpool. It's a dilemma where he must choose the lesser of two evils, sacrificing 6 men to save the rest. In the depths of despair, he tells his surviving crew, friends, this too shall one day become a memory. What courage! He reframes their suffering as a future story of resilience. Finally, after 20 years, he returns home. But when he reunites with his wife, he doesn't just say, happily ever after. He says, we have not yet reached the end of our trials. There is still measureless labor left for the future. This is life. Reaching a goal, college, marriage, promotion, is not the end. New challenges await. We must constantly move forward. This brings us back to Socrates, the spiritual disciple of Homer. The inscription at Delphi, know thyself, is the starting point. Homer told us 2,800 years ago, love your fate, Amor Fati. Do not avoid suffering, accept it as your destiny. Set a goal, but realize that reaching it is just the beginning of a new journey. Tonight, as you go home, look at the night sky. Ask yourself the eternal questions of the humanities. Who am I? And where am I going? Thank you.